What is up, guys? It is your boy Philip's POV, and we're back with part 2 of rebuilding my BMW E92 2012. Now, I bought this car from the auction for a great price, and we're going to be trying to get this car perfect and up and running so that I can make it my daily. Now, as you guys can see, we actually have the car exactly how it was sitting last time before we left. You can see we removed everything off the front, and some things you might notice is some of the hoses right here. This for the AC lines right here. They have little plastic baggies on them, as well as the air intake right here, and the back side of the alternator also has that. Now, the reason we did this is because we're actually about to power wash all of the dirty oil from the front of the engine. We don't want to get the alternator or none of those hoses wet. Now, we are going to be using Purple Power. This is a cleaner and degreaser. Right here, we're gonna basically spray this down right now, and then we're gonna get the power wash, and we're actually gonna power wash the whole front engine bay of this vehicle. As you guys can see, we got the engine bay cleaned up. Now, the reason we did this was because once we start putting on the new parts, we wanted it to already be clean where we're not going to be able to reach afterward. We got it as clean as we can possibly. As you guys can see, everything's pretty clean. I mean, there's still some dirt here and there, but it's going to be probably this clean. I don't think it's going to get any cleaner than this, but as you can see, the engine bay looks a lot better. All right, so we actually got the car moved into the shop inside, so we got it all cleaned up like you guys saw right there. And what we actually did was I removed this fender on the driver's side, and we're going to remove the fender on the passenger side, but I have to remove the fender liner first because there's actually 2 bolts that they put on the inside behind the windshield washer fluid reservoir, which goes right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this fender liner. All you have to do is take off all of the bolts that go on top on this apron. There's one that comes in from the inside of the passenger side door right here. There's 2 down here. If I push this down, but right now it's lifted up, so I can't, but right here, there's 2. One right here, one right here. And then there's also 2, one right here, one right here going that way. So make sure you guys do get all those off. We're gonna get this off right here, and then I'll get back to you guys. All right, so we got the car inside, like I said. I took the fender liner off on the passenger side, and I got the fender off. The reason we're doing this is because we want to put the new fenders on and the bumper, so that way we can make sure all the gaps are good prior to actually continuing to assemble the front of the engine bay. What we're gonna do now is put on the fenders, the bumper, and the hood's already on, but we're gonna make sure to align stuff as best as we can. That way we know that the frame doesn't need to be pulled anymore, or it might need a little bit of shifting up, down, or left and right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little time lapse of us kind of working on the car, putting the fenders on and the bumper, and we'll get back to you in a little bit. So we just got the secondary air pump installed right here. It fit perfectly like it's OEM. As you guys can see, we managed to get it bolted in exactly where it needed to be. We actually just put the new hose that went here. So we got this all bolted in nicely. It actually fits really well. It doesn't look like there was any other damage to any of the other components here, but we went ahead and switched the hose that goes to the back and the hose that continues on right here. We didn't have to change any of those. Surprisingly, when we were looking to purchase one of these, buying just this section with the filter right here is more expensive than buying the whole assembly used. So we just bought the whole assembly because it made the most sense for the price, and we're all set to go to the next part. So what we went ahead and did just right off camera, this was really quick, we just wanted to get the fenders on. So we basically put the two fenders on. Now if we put the hood down, you guys will see that the gaps are just about perfect. I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done, but you can see that once we get the hood adjusted perfectly and the fenders bolted on properly, everything's gonna line up like it's OEM. Now, we're gonna start putting on this radiator support because we want to actually get the bumper to fit partially at some point today. That way we can see if the bumper line's good. Now, if it does, we're gonna take all the panels off. They're gonna get prepped for paint. They're gonna go to the paint booth. So until then, we're gonna try to do that. And then once we have figured out that they're good, ready to paint, we're gonna start putting together the rest of the front end. Sorry if it's a bit loud. There's some stuff going on in the background, but if you guys see right here, I mean, the bumper gaps are gonna get fixed, but if you guys see, we actually mocked this up a little bit. Let me show you guys from a distance a little bit. As you guys can see, the front end is mocked up. You can see that they actually align pretty well right there. Keep in mind the bumper is not bolted on fully. The headlight bracket on that side is actually broken. Turns out we need a new one. But other than that, you guys can see preliminary gaps look really good. Now, I think honestly, it looks really good for a preliminary put together, just to make sure that the gaps are as good as they can be for the time being before the car gets painted. Now, we're most likely gonna start taking apart the car, and we're gonna start taking off all the panels. That way we can get them prepped for paint. And during that other time, we're actually gonna start installing the new stuff, the radiator, the condenser, the radiator hoses, all the good stuff. We're gonna get them installed, and you guys will get to see all that happening. We're most likely gonna take apart the rest of the BMW today in this video, and then I think in the next video, we'll probably start putting together more of the things. Alright, so as you guys can see, I was actually working on the engine bay right here. We got the new cover that we picked up for a whopping $25. That was a steal of a deal. Clips for this right here is broken, so we're gonna have to fix that or find a way to at least make it sit right up along the three areas where it has to clip into. We also got this on right here, and as my brother was actually taking apart the air filter to get it ready to be put in, you guys are about to see the surprise that we are left with. Once he took this out, boom, there is a nest. Let me turn the camera around so you guys can see that. And now if you guys see, there is literally a nest right here. Gotta toss it away, but yeah, that's a whole nest. I don't know what critter was in there, but now I'm gonna start getting the cabin air filter in, which I have to switch, but I'm gonna put this back over there. And I'm also gonna put the two covers that go right above the fuse box and above the brake fluid reservoir over there. So I'll get that started. So we actually got majority of the top end of the engine bay assembled. As you guys can see, we actually put the air intake box back in. We did clean it up. We're going to actually replace the filter inside soon. I just have to order that one, and the cabin air filter also needs to be replaced. Now, the next part is we have the hoses that connect the radiator to the car itself. We're going to switch this upper radiator hose right here. We're gonna plug in the new one. We also have a replacement line for the expansion tank hose, but I think we might hold off on putting that one until we actually get the radiator support and the radiator on first. So we're also gonna replace this one that goes from the, I believe, the thermostat to the radiator. We're gonna take this one off, put the new one, which is this guy, I believe, right here. And this sensor needs to be moved from this one to the new one, from your old one to the new one. Make sure you guys do that because you will need it to plug it in. Alright, so this hose, the upper radiator hose, is a little tough to actually get on to the oil filter housing. Now what you're going to do is basically just take a little bit of engine oil and just kind of rub it along the edge right here where the gasket is. And then it should just slide right in like you're about to see. Want to line the grooves. Just like that. Bam. That's it. Lock that in place. That's not going anywhere. And this other one should not need any grease, should be easily able to slide on. That's it. That sits right there, and then once we get the radiator on, we'll connect the other side as well as the expansion tank hose, which is this one, but we're not going to connect that right now.